speakers today, including JD Duarte, CEO of Betcris, Alberto Alfieri, COO Vivagol, Gonzalo Perez, CEO Apuesta Total, and Alessandro Fried, Chairman of BtoBet. Today, we're going to be discussing, obviously, the current situation of what's happening in the region with COVID-19, things that we've learned, and also what our speakers are looking forward to in the region for sports betting. I would love if everybody could just go ahead and introduce yourselves quickly. JD, why don't you kick us off?
Thank you, Crystal. Betcris, Latin sports betting company, 600 people on the ground. Our presence in, I think, about 14 countries at the moment. Looking forward for this panel and what we get out of it.
Great. Alberto?
Yeah, hi there. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Crystal, for the introduction. Alberto, Chief Operating Officer of Vivagol and BetPT in Portugal, which was actually our first operation. Looking forward for this first digital summit, my first panel at least, and looking forward to speak with this great series of panelists as well.
Gonzalo?
Hi, good morning to everyone from this side of the world. I hope everybody is safe. My name is Gonzalo Perez, and I am the CEO of Apuesta Total, a Peruvian company established in 2015. We have the largest network of shops run just by one operator in our country with more than 400 shops. We are one of the leaders in the market in Peru, and we are part of a family group with more than 35 years in the gambling world.
Perfect. And Alessandro?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alessandro Fried. I'm the Chairman and CEO of BtoBet. BtoBet is a platform providers. We cover CRM, PAM, sportsbook, and game aggregation. We operate in different continents, and in LatAm, we are heavily present through our operators and partners in almost all the LatAm countries. We are strongly present in Colombia through 3 partners in Colombia. In Mexico, we found one of the largest casino retail operators, in Argentina, in one of the region of Argentina, and for the rest of LatAm through different providers, so in the operators. So in the last years, we believe we acquired a quite good experience of this market and challenge what we find and we overcome through this market. So look forward for this panel.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we've definitely entered some interesting and difficult times beginning in 2020 with the COVID-19 happening. Major sports around the world are canceled, casinos are closed. And so I would love if you could just discuss a bit, how has it impacted your operations, your companies? And if we could just go down in that same order to keep this simple, just kind of discuss how is it impacting you?
Okay. Yeah, Crystal, definitely a different situation for sports betting companies such as ourselves. I mean, you said it, that sporting events are pretty much at a halt. There's very, very few events happening in the world. So we find ourselves having to find a new routine as far as what products we can offer and how do we keep our customers active while this is happening, and also considering that they might have other things in their minds as well as they also navigate through this situation, right? Keeping health as the #1 concern. Ourselves, I think we've gone through a few phases at Betcris. Luckily, the company, we had put in place different measures already. We've been working for a couple of years on implementing agile work practices, and that really helped us. And we've also been working on communication and transparency with our staff, and that right now has proven to be gold. And then after that, the next phase was pretty much reacting to the first, things that hit us with having to move people to work from home. Then looking at all of our financial obligations and how they may be renegotiated and in a way where we don't really affect our suppliers and business partners. And then also keep in mind that the customers, they potentially would be looking to take their money out, basically withdraw their funds, which actually did not happen, at least not in our case, which is a good thing. And then the next phase moved on to, okay, focus on the product, what is still available, what other things we can add to the offering, and how do we communicate with the customers? Because and that's a challenge right there, because most of our customers, they cannot go to one of our shops and they are not visiting our website, right? And most of them, they don't read emails. So how do we communicate with our customers? That's also a challenge that we've been working on overcoming. And then I guess the current phase is waiting for the leagues to return and waiting for to see what happens with the different economies in the different countries where we operate. So that's from my side, at least, that we've been approaching the whole thing.
Alberto?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, a unique series of situations that brought this, but the coronavirus. For us, in both of our cases, for Portugal and international market, it meant a few different phases, the same as for JD. The first one was adapting the actual daily operations to the new reality. I can say, and I'm proudly managed to switch the full company on remote working in a matter of few days. We are lucky because we do work only online, so we do not have any land-based activity. That helped as well. And it put us already on the first challenge, you know, just maintaining the communication at the internal level in a new reality where people that is not used to work on a remote from home is facing at the same time the uncertainty and the fears and the concern of the virus from an health perspective. And at the same time, there is the business. So we had to review everything from marketing strategies, communication, spending, commercials with our partners. In Portugal, we had actually an even more complicated situation because we have basically less events allowed than compared to other countries, such as the international markets. And that is a challenge within the challenge already. I mean, we cannot offer esports, we cannot offer virtual games, we don't have live casino, for instance. So we have definitely less alternative options for our players. We didn't see, we had the same, we were preparing, I mean, for a massive withdrawal, as JD was commenting. We didn't see that either. Actually, we saw that the players were there. Of course, we're looking for entertaining. At the same time, the Association of Operators in Portugal decided to adopt a responsible behavior in terms of advertising. So we switched off all the TV marketing and advertising until 10 in the evening. So that reduced as well the space of communication for the customers. In terms of the international operation, instead is a different situation. Both our brands are mainly sport-driven, but Vivagol is a recently launched brand in the market. So we were about waiting for the kickoff of the local football in Brazil, which of course changed completely all our plans from one day to another. And of course we had to put on all the several things that we had planned, and including even launching casino, because at that point it didn't make much sense launching casino right now. So definitely, as I said, a big series of challenges.
Great, thank you. Gonzalo, do you want to touch a little bit on how it's also affected you?
Yeah, sure. Well, as I said before, we have more than 4 shops across the country. We were mainly retail focused. Therefore, we have a very huge impact in our operations because of the COVID situations. Since 85% of our revenue comes from the shops, and there is no light at the end of the tunnel when we're going to be able to open again. This has been a big challenge for us because we want to keep as many jobs as possible, not only from the human point of view, but also because we invest a lot of money training these people and we don't want to lose them. But the reality is that we have no income in this channel. Therefore, we have to be very responsible in this situation. Our financial situation will be in jeopardy. Luckily, our staff understood the situation and we have been able to reach an agreement with them. This was very important since Peruvian labor laws are not rigid across the country, across the world, I mean. And we also have this challenge taking our retail customers from the retail channel to the online channel. This has been challenging for us because we have a bet, so no one is registered in our shops. So we have to contact them by phone, sending some promotions, and well, we have to adapt to this situation. Luckily, our office has been able to move to their homes very fast. So from the point of view of the office, we have been able to keep taking the job as usual. So yes, it's a big challenge for us.
Definitely. Alessandro, do you have comments also? Alessandro?
Oh,
yes, I was on mute. I was on mute. Apologize. So I was saying that our situation is a bit different from the one that are facing directly the operators, because obviously we are a platform suppliers, but indirectly we are affected because it's obvious a reduction of revenue from our operators affect as well our revenues. But from our point of view, we saw this not as obviously it's a pandemic. It's affecting significantly the business, but we believe that it's as well a strong opportunity. It's what we believe in terms of what can represent the situation. And the reason is probably this helps our operators thanks to the technology that they have. Means that all of our operators start to improve the product that they have in order to contain the situation that they're facing now. And I believe when the sport will resume, the final product will be a better one. And what does it mean by improving the product? Means increasing the quantity of verticals, because it's true that sport is affected, but we saw on many operations that the volume of the casino doubled in some cases, in some others even more. So they started to increase the number of verticals. Some operators in Colombia activated immediately the casino where they was previously focused mainly on the sportsbook. So they activated, depending on the country and what the country allowed them. So obviously, they activated casino, live casino, virtuals. In some countries, lotteries and so on. So this was one part. So they built, in my opinion, a better product. Two, they understood the importance on the online. And my opinion is that this situation is not, but is strongly affecting the retail, will affect directly till the lockdown will be there, but will change as well the behavior of the customers. Customers will starting to become generally more acquainted to the use of internet, mobile, and it will become more natural to use in the future the online services and to access to these services for the online. So this means that many operators understood in LatAm the importance of the online, and they understood that doing online does not mean to have just a page on which I display or I make available my content, but means as well to work on the organization, to have the proper knowledge, to have the proper tools, because talking about online, we're talking about online marketing, acquisition, retention, reactivation, understanding the metrics in cost per acquisition and so on. Knowledge that in many cases they didn't have, and we worked a lot because it's a knowledge that we have, and we worked a lot together with our partner to transfer this knowledge. They understood as well that talking about retail, it's something that will become back soon and important, but they understood that talking about non-anonymous retail become important because having the control of the players, it's essential in order to have the ability to take advantage through all the channels based on all the external situations that can affect the business. So yes, we saw obviously a reduction of our revenues, but as well our operator revenues, but we consider this a temporary, still if strongly affecting a temporary situation where operators can take it as an opportunity to work on their product rather just a damage containment of their activities. This is how we are seeing the things.
Great, thank you, Alessandro. You touched a little bit about it. With these challenges, obviously, it's a really good opportunity and room for growth and innovation and change as we've seen this digital summit that SBC has put on for us. So what are the things that you want to take from this situation? JD mentioned you're adapting on your product availability, the types of games you're providing. So if you guys could just also go through and maybe just touch again, what are you taking from this situation going forward into the future? Alessandro, if you want to go ahead and start this time.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Alessandro?
JD, you're talking with me? Apologize.
Yes, I was going to start with you this time.
Okay. No problem. So as I said, one part is quite important related to the product itself. So it's one of the things that happened, and where I saw our operators more sensible about this concept. Previously, till 1 month ago, sportsbook, and in LatAm in particular, sportsbook was the main driver. So everybody was mainly focused. It was representing a significant part of the strategy. Casino was coming after in terms of percentage, but it was a side, always considered a side product and not a strategic vertical. So working on the content, it's a fundamental element, and understanding what does it mean to the vertical, because it's not just adding some content in a website. It's much more complicated to work and to acquire this kind of knowledge. Second area, obviously, this means in any case challenges, because we know that LatAm is strongly affected by one main issue related to the online. When we talk about online, it's payment. This depends from country to countries, but online payment is one of the biggest challenge that all the operators has. So this, despite it's an opportunity to improve your own product, operators are facing this situation, but this need to be analyzed country by country, and what are the solutions that can be adopted in the different country. We work in Colombia, for example. We saw a transfer from the players, because previously the main channel in any case as well for payment was the retail channel in any case, through what it's called in LatAm the aggregators, for example. But we saw a good migration for the players to use online payment. So there is some important next step for the operator to understand how to move in using and to increment the number of channels that they will have the possibility to use. There is obviously other cases, because we are talking, I'm giving by granted but a company has the proper technology on which it's easy to increment verticals or channels. But this is always, as well, not always the case. A lot of operators do not have actually the technologies that allow them to change their business model, to increase the vertical, to activate the online payment. So they don't have the technologies to go in that direction. So this is another, I believe, another challenge for a lot of operators.
Thank you. Gonzalo, do you want to talk about what you're taking from the situation going forward?
Yeah, sure. Well, the first thing that we are thinking about is, think about of the point of view of our customers. There is a lot of people suffering a lot because of the situation. I mean, our customers that from one day from another has no income. Therefore, we don't want to be too aggressive with the advertising. In the last day, we have a couple of cases in Peru about that, and people didn't take it well. Another idea linked to the previous idea is that even in a tough situation, we have to think how we can help people, from our side. In our case, we launched a free bingo with cash prizes, and it's quite popular. We stream the game through our Facebook page, and 99% of the comments are positive because people recognize that the effort that we're making to entertain and help people. Third is that even we are retail focused, we need to boost our online channel. And this is for us very hard because we in Peru have really big competitors, like for example, Betcris from JD, and they know how to they have a lot of experience, but we trust that in our knowledge of the market. So yes, there is a lot of knowledge or lessons that we can take in these situations that move forward us to increase our sales, our revenues, and give the customers a very good experience.
Perfect. Alberto?
Yeah, I think definitely one lesson point here is the Alessandro was mentioning the product preference. Of course, the customer behavior has changed during this period. Now it will be a matter of assessing if this change will be temporary, will be something definitive that will last also after the emergence in the pandemic. I think for Latin America, there is the extra factor of being a region heavily supported by the land-based operations, the retail operations. This will be definitely an interesting point to observe after the emergency will be over, to understand how effective the cross-sell has been, and taking the advantage of showcasing basically all the online products and flexibility that you can have on online operation to normal players that usually go on the retail. Of course, there will be limitations that for now are still mainly on payments in certain regions, but the customer habits, I think, is the one that's probably the most difficult to overcome. And I guess this gives opportunity again to review the product, to review the policies in terms of communication to the customers. Responsible gambling is a matter. Education is definitely one big point that should be on the list of any operator right now. Not right now, I mean only right now, it should be always there. But the thing is that having less sports now, less events, people spending more time at home, having less income, the overall scenario changes because the psychological aspect of the player, the external factors are different. So I think it's paramount we all make an extra effort now, even more than usual, to educate the players. We have the opportunity to do that, and we should all do that.
Very good points. JD, how about you?
Right. So I could put the learnings, the takeaways in two categories. One being internal things that we can apply internally, such as how this has affected the daily routine. And I believe that one of the things that we have learned, and it's actually quite positive, is that the company is able to implement a remote work policy without reducing the productivity. So we're actually thinking that even after things go back to the new normal, because I don't think they're going to go back to the old normal, as things go back to the new normal or start to reopen and reactivate, I'm not going to be going back to the way things were. We're actually going to keep remote work as the main type of work, and then going to the office is going to become a special case thing. And which is, it's very interesting because we're actually in the final stages of building our new office. So we actually took the opportunity to redo the layout and adjust to, I guess, what's going to become what's becoming the new trends in office design, taking into account, you know, how many people work at the same time and how close they sit to each other. So that's I believe something that's going to help us going forward. But I mean, in essence, super happy with the response of my team. The productivity is way up. The commitment shows. So that's one key learning from this thing. I think we're doing quite well in that department. And then looking out, of course, like most of the colleagues here mentioned, the new verticals that any sportsbook would potentially look at adding to their offering. Poker, casino, bingo, all of those are actually doing better than before. So the normal reaction would be to run to add this content if someone doesn't have it. But I believe the challenge there is staying true to the identity of the business. I believe that short term, that might look like a good idea, but you have to be careful to stay true to the identity of the business, right? I'm not saying don't add them. I'm saying, I mean, don't completely try to turn into a casino company overnight, because I think it's going to be a losing recipe. Then as far as the approach, I believe that we're seeing companies that focus on user experience that have a very strong digital channel. I'm talking about Amazon, I'm talking about Netflix. I mean, because obviously you can still engage, interact with them from home. They're winning, and they're going up considerably as well in value. So we have to take a page from that book and try to apply some of that. UX has always been a key part of our strategy, but I mean, now more than ever, I think we need to focus on it. One thought that I wanted to share as a learning is that as humans need to develop antibodies against this virus, I believe companies need to do the same. So we need to focus on finding ways to become virus resistant as companies, so that we can, I guess, prepare for what might become a seasonal thing, or hopefully not, something that happens more often, right? So in that, we have to be responsible. A lot of people depend on us. I'm talking about staff, I'm talking about suppliers, I'm talking about even governments, regulators. They depend on this industry. So we have to be responsible and prepare for this type of scenarios. Not to act recklessly and find ourselves in a position where we have to lay people off, which I believe is the worst thing that anyone can do at the moment. I think Gonzalo was mentioning social responsibility. I think our number one duty and the social responsibility part is actually to keep our force, our people active and engaged, so that not only for selfish reasons, but also to help the economies of the different countries reactivate as soon as possible. So those would be some of the key learnings and takeaways from my side.
Thank you. So looking more to a brighter future, our new normal, when things are settled, hopefully sooner rather than later, there's a lot of movement happening in the region. You have Brazil working on its consultation to implement its sports betting law. Argentina, the Buenos Aires city and province are also working on online gaming, legislative initiatives in Peru that are pending, and Mexico obviously also. These big areas that are happening. So how do you guys evaluate the new opportunities happening? Where do you put your resources in and focus them when you're going into a new market? And how do you really approach launching in a new environment? JD, you want to start us off?
Yeah, as far as the new licensing, we've been following up on a few of these new jurisdictions coming up. Of course, Argentina, both the province and the federal capital, Brazil, Peru, with this new thing that's happening there that we have to really pay attention to, and other ones. I think the appetite for new markets has not changed. We're still, full on board with entering all these new markets that have been coming out with licenses. I think there's going to be a little bit more resistance, or let's say it's going to be more challenging for gaming as an industry, because we are right now a lesser priority to governments as far as what I mean is as far as trying to come up with regulation that is that makes sense. I think right now we look like a big piece of meat where they need tax money right now, and they're going to be looking at gaming to provide that. And we were already facing a few challenges when it came to banking, payments, and even taxes, in some of these jurisdictions. So we need to really unite as an industry and basically to act together to make sure that these governments don't turn into actually something that becomes a problem. As far as how things may change, I believe that aside from the tax thing, that I think is probably the most important one, there might be some potential new requirements for the operators when it comes to land-based operations. The landscape is changing. I think anyone who has a strong digital channel is now in a complete advantage position. And land-based should be something that the governments actually incentivize because they create jobs. So it's something to think about and to discuss with them, hopefully to work together with the regulators so we can begin to rebuild, which is what I think is going to be happening for the rest of the year at least. We're going to be in rebuilding mode in most of these countries, if not the world.
I totally agree with you there. Alberto, do you have any comments?
I was about to say the same. The rebuilding, I would say that the approach to the rebuilding mode and the pace of the rebuilding mode, I think it will tell us more about which country in the long term will achieve the most. Right now in the region, of course, there are Brazil and Argentina and Mexico are all in very different positions when it comes to the regulation. Brazil seems closer to regulate land-based casino rather than online betting from one point of view. I think this what happened, of course, will change the scenario and again the priorities of certain countries. For sure, now there will be more than ever a need and attempt from the government to get extra income, that's for sure, and the taxation from gaming looks appealing. The online operators, I do think, yes, they have an advantage because they will be probably faster, to adapt, and at the same time, online regulation will probably now get some more priority in terms of it's easier, to regulate from one point of view. There are already several examples, and there is no impact from the virus in that sense. So that might be the first point on the agenda. Considering the current scenario, I would say that probably we'll still need some time to see some real change in terms of regulation. Argentina was the one basically before the pandemic emergency came up with the full scheme for Buenos Aires, both federal and province. For Brazil, I do expect, that Brazil and as probably as well as Mexico, they will take some time to evaluate. And then again, whoever will pick up in the quickest possible way will probably go the longer way.
Thank you. Gonzalo?
Hey, I'm going to talk a little bit about Peru, since it's the country that we are focusing right now. I said in different occasions before, sports betting in Peru, it's legal. Even we have no specific regulations. We pay corporate taxes, we can open bank accounts and everything. Regarding licensing in Peru, last Congress was working on that, but the president shut down them. new Congress is going to be only for 1.5 years. So they have different priorities by now. And now with the pandemic, they have other different priorities. Nevertheless, as everybody knows, countries are spending a lot of money these days, you know, helping people, helping companies. And I think that there is a small chance that we can have a rule regulation in the near future because of this. The threat for me is that because of this rush, there is also a chance that there will be a little time to discuss or give feedback to the congressman. Therefore, it can be very popular, you know, for people getting new taxes in the gambling. That works in every country for the popularity of the president or the congressman. But it can put in danger business since the challenge that are set in a rush situation are different. So yes, you know, for everybody, this is America. In Latin America, everything can happen. Everything can happen really fast, or it can take a lot of time. You know, and we see this situation in Brazil and in Argentina and in Peru. You know, because the draft of the bills were sent to the Congress in September 2018. So it has taken a lot of time.
Yes, patience is key. Sometimes in LatAm, we do know that well. Alessandro, do you have comments also on new licensing opportunities?
Yes, I have some comments. First of all, unfortunately, LatAm, it's a region, a vast region, but from the regulation point of view, has still a lot to do, because in any case, we have, for each country, a total different situation. One of the largest markets in LatAm is Brazil, and still regulation, it's not there, and I do not expect that before 2 years we will have a regulation. We hope so, but actually the time frame, I will believe that will be between 1 and 2 years if we are very lucky. We have Mexico, but it's another largest market on which there is a sort of regulation. Let's say that retail land-based operators can have an authorization to operate online. So if it's a sort of solution, but not a proper regulation. And we can go through this through all the countries where there is a not very clear situation. I agree that this pandemic will most probably push the online regulation because it's easiest to regulate it, fastest, and is a good answer to situation like the coronavirus situation that will not end totally and fully in some months. It will take longer time. And I see as well that in other parts of the world, governments are pushing immediately some online situation in order to allow retail operation to operate as well online where it's not authorized. So this is a direction on which I believe the different government will move on. In terms of regulation, the example of Colombia, it's a very good example, and I've been there with some operator from the beginning, so I saw the market changing from a non-regulated to a regulated, and we can see when a country regulates the product, the industry, the quality of the service delivered by the operators change and improve significantly. I saw company before the regulation, after the regulation. I saw as well when you regulated the online, how through the regulation, it pushed the operation to move from retail to online or to a mix between retail and online. This is what I saw, and it's going in a case in the direction of all the industries where, as JD said before, our largest company in other industries like Netflix, Amazon, and so on are and will perform even better during this period. The same will happen as well for this industry. So I believe the regulation will follow as well what is the the market opportunities, because it's what the customers want, need, and when we talk about taxation, because it's one of the reasons why you put in place a regulation, it's as well an area on which it gives an opportunities to the government.
Great. Yes, all we can hope for is that sound regulations come sooner rather than later, and just make sure we're keeping an eye on everything that's happening, slow or fast, in the region. I can't, unfortunately, see if there are any Q&As being entered. There is an opportunity to ask questions in the Q&A box from the audience.
Yeah, we have a few. Crystal, we have a few questions
okay.
there. And
perfect. So let's take this time and go ahead and...
Yeah, there's one right here, and I guess I'm tagged on it. How do you see M&A in LatAm? Do you think the current COVID situation will stop or will provoke a faster M&A activity? I do. I mean, we are already aware of a few companies that, I mean, have some value, but at the moment they're struggling. They were not ready for this. I mean, I guess very few people were in a position to actually face this, you know, and withstand all this time of low activity for sports betting. So I believe there are opportunities. I don't know if the opportunity is really for to merge or acquire businesses, or if first you have to focus on improving your internal processes and adjusting, so that then you can go out and like I think Alessandro was saying in the beginning, come out of this thing actually better than how we entered it. And this is one of the things that we're doing at the moment. But I believe that yes, it's a moment for consolidation. I don't think it's a good moment. I see another question there. I don't think it's a good moment to enter the industry as a new operator. But I mean, we've been proven wrong before on that. So I believe that Alessandro also said those who are strong will come out as stronger. This is something where we should play the long game. This is temporary. You know, it might be a year, but it's temporary. So we have to think long term on this and make decisions so that we can be around not in a few months, but be around, you know, years and years from now. And that's the way I'm looking at it. I don't know if someone else wants to take another question.
Yeah,
Okay.
just one guy. I think yes. I think the M&A. Hello. Yeah, I want to just say the M&A scenario in LatAm definitely will be spicy. I would say there will be a movement of consolidation for sure. I mean, big operators in Europe that have been losing revenues due to this or over-regulation in certain countries that were already looking into Latin America will definitely try to get a quick entry. But different thing is one established operator in Europe trying to enter Southern Latin America compared to an entirely new operation entering now. I agree that it might be not impossible, but definitely much more difficult to penetrate a market that is not easy already, and it will become even less easier with the added difficulties of the times. Just want to add that.
Yes, I want to add one thing.
A few other questions. Yeah.
Apologize, just quickly. It's true that entering in Latin market can be difficult and can be a challenge, but I believe that it's a market that offers great opportunities. We are talking mainly when we talk about entering the market, we're not talking about local operators, but mainly tier 1 or tier 2 European operators, stable organization that decide to expand their business. And I believe LatAm, like Africa, that we call the emerging market, are opportunities. Not easy, with a lot of challenge to overcome, this for sure. And sometimes I believe for some companies, from some operators to acquire a local operators that have local knowledge can be a way to acquire quickly this knowledge. So my opinion, it can happen, and it will become, I don't think that this situation will change a lot the plan of company in order to look forward to this market. There was another question. It's related if, do you think long-term future of this industry to turn online offering into entertainment offering, more social, more per spend? On this, yes and no. I don't think that this situation, because I don't see it as, when we talk about the content itself, so when we talk about sportbook or other content, this is temporary. So at the end, from the offer point of view, I don't think that the situation will change the market. Now, temporary, we have some solution that came out. Some people talk about esports or talks about some virtual games, but these are temporary till the sport will be back, because we know that people enjoy to look at sport and they enjoy to bet, so this will not change because there is a couple of months of, can be as well 5 or 6 months of shutdown of the main event. But I believe that it will push much players to approach online, and this channel will become more important. More social, it depends. I don't think that it's connected to this situation. It can be more connected about people online are not players, are people that use different kind of services through different companies in different industries. So if you want to connect them, it can be always an opportunity going from social to not social. But at the end, it's not the pandemic itself that will affect this kind of approach or player behavior. I don't think so.
I agree. I think it's unrelated. I mean, from the virus situation, there will be probably a shift onto a more, I'm going to say, wider scope of entertainment. But when the sport will be back, I mean, the sport per se is already entertainment. So of course that will be playing the biggest role in this. But I think there will be space for looking at new ways to engage people. And a new probably set of players, because I think this will generate a new set of players, most likely. Future players or prospective players.
There is another question related to Colombia, Argentina, Mexico, and Peru. Which one is more lucrative, excluded Brazil? We're talking about regulated or quite not unregulated country, let's talk like this. So which one is more lucrative? Is there someone that have better knowledge for the LatAm?
Well, I mean, I think that except for Argentina and Colombia, I mean, I guess Colombia, we're about to enter. Argentina, we're also looking at the licensing. Mexico and Peru, we're in. I can think of both positive and negatives on all of these, and they're not all exactly related to regulation. Market conditions, access to proper banking, they're all a challenge, basically. You know, each one of those is a challenge. I guess all things being semi-equal, I would go with population, which would mean Mexico, and then I would probably say Colombia. And I'm actually a big fan of the Colombian regulation of how they did it. Although the market conditions with a couple of companies basically dominating is something that I see not lasting, but I guess that would be my top two at least.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay, guys, I think we ran out of time.
Reaching our time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everybody helping me. Our speakers, you did great. Thank you so much for your insights and your comments. And look forward to speaking more throughout the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very much, Crystal.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, SBC.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.
All right.
Are we still on?
Yeah, but I don't know if
We're
are
not live
still
anymore, right?
Oh, okay. No.
We're not live.
Oh, we're not
I
live.
think we're not
Okay.
live.